The LG G4 was a great phone. Me personally, I absolutely adored it. But there were a few who felt that for a 2015 flagship, there were a few things it lacked. A premium build, a fingerprint scanner, for example. LG hopes to address these with the new LG V10, a new lineage that does all that and more. So, is the V10 as good as it seems on paper? Or is there more to it than meets the eye? Well, let's find out. But before we do, if this is your first time here, or in case you just can't remember, my name is Ash, this is C4E Tech, and you're watching my full review of the LG V10. Let's get started. Let's start with the build, or rather, what's new with the LG V10. First, we have dual cameras up top, and right next to it, there's an always-on secondary display. We have the keys to the back as usual, but there's a twist now. The power key has a fingerprint scanner built in, and this one works quite well. But given the size of the phone, more often than not, I ended up entering my knock code instead. That might be down to personal preference though. Anyway, this is not the fastest fingerprint scanner around. The one on the Nexus is definitely quicker, but it's good nonetheless. With the V10, LG is using a stainless steel frame. The curved sides do help with ergonomics. It's heavy at 192 grams, but the weight's evenly distributed, meaning it feels more solid than bulky. The 8.6mm thickness might also have something to do with that. Overall, the V10 feels solid and premium in hand, or rather hands, as you're probably going to have to use both hands more often than not. The 3000 mAh battery underneath is also user replaceable. The texture to the back helps provide a great grip. Not once did I feel it drop the V10. Now, even if you were to drop it, odds are it might actually survive the drop. We have Gorilla Glass 4 to the front, and the V10 is military standard certified for drops. So overall, LG's managed to do something that a lot of the competition struggled to do. Provide a premium looking device while not compromising on durability or productivity, as in the microSD and the option to swap batteries. If I were to talk about the cons, I'd have to mention the lack of wireless charging out of the box. You can get support for wireless charging by buying a back from LG. So anyway, moving on, the LG V10 has a 5.7-inch Quad HD IPS LCD display and a secondary 2.1-inch display on top. It's worth noting that these are not two separate displays. It's actually one big, almost 6-inch display that's split and controlled individually. So yeah, we get about 515 pixels per inch all over, with Gorilla Glass 4 protecting the display. The color reproduction's quite good. It's a little on the cooler side, but the blacks are deep. The contrast is good, viewing angles are stellar, and of course 515 ppi means it's sharp. It can also get quite bright, so you aren't going to face any issues outdoors. I did experience a bit of backlight bleeding with the always-on part of the display, and I'm mentioning it more from the point of me being thorough rather than it being an actual issue. Now, the second display, when I saw the V10 being announced, I really hated the placement. When I unboxed it, I still disliked the placement, and surprise, surprise, I still am not a believer. But I do get where LG is coming from. You can't put those dual cameras at the bottom, so the display has to go on top. And I actually found it kind of useful, a little bit. With the screen off, it can show the date or your signature. It will also show indicators for the apps that have Android notifications. Swipe, and there are 4 shortcuts. Swipe the other way to access music controls. While I did find these a little useful, what was really refreshing about this was the fact that if I had to find my phone in the night, I could do that without turning on the lights and disturbing anyone else in the room. That was quite nice. With the screen on, these are all the functions that it can do. Again, me personally, I didn't find any of these very useful because I found the regular Android way quicker, but I did enjoy the fact that the second screen is where all notifications were displayed. Whether gaming or consuming media, this makes for a more immersive experience. Well, I think this is the longest I've gone in a review without talking specs, so here we go. We have the same chip from the LG G4, the Snapdragon 808. The clock speeds left untouched, 2 A57 cores at 1.82 and 4 A53 cores at 1.44 GHz each. There's an extra gig of RAM this time around, and the internal storage is 64 gigs. Gaming performance was good. Adreno 418 handles most games quite well. Didn't heat up either. LG has included a dedicated Hi-Fi DAC here, so turn this toggle on and with the right pair of headphones you will get high fidelity audio. I'm no audiophile, but if you are one, this might matter to you. The call quality and cellular reception, I had no issues with those either. Now, all this is powered by a 3000 milliamp hour user replaceable battery, and this is an area where the V10 doesn't perform great. On a looping video playback test, the V10 lasted a little under 8 hours before running out of juice. With my regular usage that involves having 3G or Wi-Fi on all day, with a lot of push messages, a better YouTube videos, a lot of browsing and replying to comments, Twitter, an hour of music, a couple hours of calls, and maybe some light gaming, I was able to get through a day on a single charge, but had to be quite frugal with my usage at the later parts of the day. On the flip side, the V10 does support fast charging and can go from 0 to 100 in a little over an hour. So now let's get back to things that the V10 excels at. The cameras. The V10 uses the same hardware from the G4 again. A 1x2.6 inch sensor with a 16 megapixel 16:9 resolution. The lens is a fast f/1.8 lens with optical image stabilization, meaning decent low light images, and awesome macro shots with stellar bokehs. Images have a lot of detail, the colors are natural, and if there is anything that you don't like, there's a full suite of manual controls at your disposal. The manual controls let you tweak almost anything and everything you want, and you even have an option to shoot RAW. Have a tripod? You could get a shot like this in total low light. Sweet. Now, we've seen all this before with the G4, so what's new here? Well, LG now provides manual controls for video on the V10, meaning you can do things like this smooth focus pull and more. Moreover, you can also control the directionality of the audio. I'm gonna make sure that what's coming from behind the phone
This has been my
is more
go-to
in
Christmas
focus
wallpaper
rather than
ever
the
since I
voice.
switched to
So now
Android.
I want to switch to the front of the phone. Plus you can see the video that's playing behind isn't that loud anymore.
To the front, we have two 5 megapixel selfie cameras with 80 and 120 degree field of views respectively. It lets you switch between regular and wide angle selfies. So with that, let's now get to the software. The V10 runs on Android 5.1 Lollipop with LG's custom Optimus UI on top. LG's UI gets a lot of hate from fans and critics alike, and some of it is justified. For example, the color scheme and the cluttered menu settings. But for the most part, I feel the level of hate it receives is unwarranted, because there's a lot of customization here, including the ability to replace individual icons. You want multitasking? LG has an equivalent to Samsung's multi-window. While it doesn't have support for quite as many apps as Samsung's implementation, it does support enough to count as a pro. Do you like Sony's small apps? Well, LG has Q Slide, and these apps can even be made transparent to allow for easier multitasking. Maybe you're a fan of the way Xiaomi activates one-handed mode. Well, LG now has the same way to trigger the mini window. And there are many other features that I found myself using every day, and these include things like the knock code, knock to wake, double tap to turn off the display, etc. The software experience here on the LG V10 was mostly positive. The memory management was good for the most part too. The home screen does often reload when going back from some app or the other, but that's just a minor hindrance at best. Overall, the user experience here is splendid. Apps opened up quick with little to no lag. With that, let's talk price. The V10 is priced between $600 to $650 in most parts of the world and isn't available in India yet. For that price, LG's delivered a great all-round smartphone. If the large form factor and mediocre battery are things you can live with, and actually even the audio output via the internal speaker isn't all that great, but if these are things you could live with, you're not going to be disappointed with the V10. So there you have it, my 2 cents on the LG V10. Do you agree with me? If not, hit me up in the comments below. Let me know what is it that you didn't agree with. If you do want to pick a V10 up, I'll leave direct links in the description below. Do use them if you want to help the channel out. So I guess that's it for this video. You know what to do, and if in case you don't, well, if you liked it, if you disliked it, if you have any constructive criticism to share, hit me up in the comments below. If you have any video requests from me, hit me up on Twitter at C4eTech. That's where I'm most active these days. And if you haven't hit that subscribe button yet, do it right now. Go down, hit the subscribe button. Now, do it. I'm serious. So anyway guys, I guess that's it for this video. Thanks a lot for watching. Till next time, this is Ash here from C4eTech signing off. You guys have a great day. Bye bye now.